Welcome back to the channel. I'm at Comic-Con right now. You guys have been seeing some videos going up of new reveals and checking out the booths. Wanted to take time to do a little mini review of one character I missed from the Mutant Mayhem wave, and that was Superfly. Kind of tough to track this guy down. I'm not sure why. I mean, he's really cool. You can see from the package here, he's got some great coloring going on. Just a really fun looking character. And he's sort of portrayed as sort of the leader of the bad guys in the new film. So he was kind of tricky to track down a target, whereas the other ones were in more of an abundance. One interesting I noticed about this, a lot of people's first reaction when they saw the figure or they saw the character was, oh, it's Baxter Stockman. Well, I don't think it is. I mean, they're two distinct characters. If you look at the character posters, we got Baxter Stockman, played by Giancarlo Esposito. And then we got Superfly, played by Ice Cube. Two different character posters, two different voice actors. It seems like they're two distinct characters, unless they're trying to pull one over on us and he transforms into Superfly. But why would they have two different voice actors? It's kind of weird, unless they're really trying to confuse us. But it makes it seem like it's a very distinct character, not like Baxter Stockman, but his own sort of his own bad guy, his own entity, his own unique person. So be that as it may, we're going to check this guy out and compare him to Baxter at the same time. Okay, slicing up our Superfly here. Same way I do at that flat angle so as not to ruin the packaging. I like preserving the card backs, particularly the Playmates older ones, just because of that great artwork on them. What's different about this one here is I see some instructions on building the figure. You got to attach his wings. So a lot of the other characters, we didn't have to do anything with that. This one you have to attach wings. So we're just going to saw him out of here. And I saw the wings behind him in the packaging, and I was wondering if for some kind of artistic reason they were off on an angle, but they are not. So here we go. He is secured in here by a dozen different little straps. So I'll work on these. There we go. And okay, now he's free. So Superfly comes with a little ray gun here, much like we've seen other versions of Baxter Stockman come with a little ray gun. So it's kind of interesting. So he has his wing set, and I think you have to attach one onto the other four. There we go. And then you have to attach them all onto the figure here. And there's a distinct pattern, so you're only there's only really one way to do this. Although, let's see if I don't mess it up. I think I got it here. Yep. So while I push this in, let's give you a close-up checking out Superfly here. Really nice design to him. He's an interesting character. He's got that bug look, but at the same time, you can see some elements of his former self there with the tattered clothing. I like how he has the tiny little arms in the stomach area, and then a shoe where his feet are poking through. There's still a shoe there, and then he's got this one big arm and this one tiny arm, and yeah, I kind of like the giant claw arm. It's not a lot of articulation on that claw arm. We'll give you a close-up of that in a second, but it's neat that he has these two distinct sort of features on him. Let's see how he stands. Not too bad here. And we'll get this little ray gun in his left hand, because his right hand is not going to hold anything. It's just too big. Maybe wrap it around a turtleneck. It'd be nicer if it opened up and you could make a little pincher, but it does not do that. It just it spins there, and with that limited articulation. But that is really it. So there we have our Superfly, or Fly Guy there. And then we will check out his other accessories. So he comes with the classic accessories here as well. He comes with a bunch of beakers. He comes with a little fly squatter with a turtle on it, and a little old school ray gun, and a little potion. Now, while I kind of point these out as interesting, if we take a look at our Playmates Baxter, and this is the release, 2023 re-release of Baxter, not the original release. He has that fly squatter with that turtle on it, so that sort of makes it distinct there. Of course, he has his fly wings. He doesn't have any little thorax arms coming out there, but kind of easy to see why these two were confused. And then this Playmates one's never like the stand unless you get them just right. And then what's also interesting is if you look at the card back, he has a little beaker there, much like the little beaker here. He has his fly swatter here. So it's kind of interesting in that ray gun, which we've seen other versions of Baxter come with in the arcade and in the cartoon as well. So it's kind of interesting that the classic accessories mimic Baxter Stockman's accessories and what we're known or associate with Baxter. And the yeah, it's very interesting. So that's why it's kind of hard to shake that there's something suspicious about this character, even though we have two distinct character posters, two distinct voice actors. You know, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out. It wouldn't be that much of a shocking surprise that it's actually Baxter Stockman converted into his fly form. I don't know. We will have to see. But it is kind of suspicious that they gave him the very same accessories as classic Baxter has or is associated with. As we saw on all the other Turtles and on Bebop and Rocksteady, when I showed you the classic accessories and compared them to the Playmates figures, the old classic Playmates figures, they were pretty much one for one. So they tried to mimic that old design. So it seems like they're trying to mimic the old Baxter Stockman with the Superfly figure. Even though it appears that it's two distinct characters from the promotional materials, at least. You know, the other funny thing, I always, as a kid, I always thought Raphael was getting beat up on every single one of these cards, because you always see a turtle with a red headband on every single one of these getting attacked by Krang or by another character. But then I'm thinking back to the old comics, and they all had red headbands, so it could be anybody, not just poor Raphael always getting beat up. So I solved that mystery this a ton of years later. But yeah, so these are sort of weird that they decided to go with that design, but we'll see in the film. We only got a couple more weeks to wait to find out. But that is our Superfly. I pull you in so you can check out some of his unique articulation, because he's a little bit different than the other characters. So here's our Superfly. A little bit of articulation difference than the other figures. His head goes up a little bit more than the other characters and side to side. The arm will move up and then left and right here on that joint here for the shoulder, but no elbow on this one solid piece. The claw does rotate. On this side, the same arm and the shoulder movement, and then we do have an elbow on this one, which is good, but no wrist articulation here. The arms in the middle do not rotate or move at all. They're just kind of in position. The legs, they will work at the hip here, so you get that thigh articulation out side to side, and then you do have a knee, but that's it. There is no ankle articulation there. There's that cool shoe I was talking about where his foot kind of grew through. So a little bit more limited than his other counterparts. Again, you can see on the face here this great asymmetry between the two, where you have a giant eye and a little eye. So it's kind of cool how they did that and make it a little bit more unique. Similar to the Playmates figure, this one has less articulation. You're just going to have the legs and then the arms, and the wrist will rotate. So there's more articulation in this figure, but not by that much more. Yeah, there is a little evolution between the classic and the current. And of course, the design so much better. I mean, you got different layering of colors on here, and this is just over time. This is a classic design, and I love it, but this shows the evolution of how sort of toys evolved in the last 30 years. Where you have multiple parts here, multiple articulation joints, and then this translucence on the wings, and then all sorts of coloring and all sorts of design with these really thin feet here and these tiny little hands in the abdomen section. So yeah, very cool sort of modern version of Baxter, if this is, but suspect it isn't. So I guess we'll have to find out. And that was our look at Superfly from the Mutant Mayhem Playmates line. A pretty cool character, rounds out the set now. You got a bunch of villains. The only other figure that's out there is April O'Neil, but she is part of that six-pack, and I'm not buying these again just to get April O'Neil. So hopefully they release her in a single card soon. And there'll probably be a wave too, because we saw character posters for Scumbug and other characters as well. So there will likely be a wave too. So we'll see. But that's all for this segment right now. Of course, I'm going to have more Turtles. I'm going to be taking a look at the Super 7 Ultimates Turtles. I haven't done a lot of work with that. I did one video with Slash, but it wasn't really focused on the Ultimates line. And then we'll be taking a look at the new NECA release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the Movie 3. So that should be pretty cool, as well as that new Kino figure. So tune back for that, as I'll have those up pretty soon. So that's all for this time. Like, subscribe, and follow. We'll be having plenty of Comic-Con videos coming out in the next couple days, so keep checking back for those. And we'll see you guys next time.